Hello folks, Bobrut here, Let's Talk Standard, and now a bit more in depth, a bit more into details. Not switching on the slides full screen because I'm gonna tab out, I'm gonna point at some cards, and then I'm gonna actually pinpoint at some specific deck list to make it more clearer to you. So moving on, and yeah, this is what we have basically. Honorable mentions, of which there will be a few, because I thought like some cards are probably going to make an impact, but not as big as I think. So I'm going to start with a few spicy cards that are probably not going to be that noticeable, but still impactful. So Sarcophagus, where could it go? I think the only real home for it is the Approach Stance New Perspectives combo, and this is what I actually mean by that. So yeah, deck basically wins with Approach, it can win sometimes with Sphinx, and with the Drake Haven out of the sideboard, yeah, or Kefnet. There are different builds, this one has only 3 Ancient Land Auras, but yeah, just cycling, recursion, traverse to find combo pieces, sort of, as fogs, interactions in the sideboard. So this is what I mean. And summon will be an interesting card in what I envision as blue-red Drake Tempo deck, and you can cook it in assortments of ways. And right now it's probably better than ever, but I think post-rotation it might be still a thing, even though it's not gonna feature this thing. And Storm Chaser actually is not like exactly what you need. Courier is also optional. I actually opted for Neonate in that slot just to madness out more consistently things like Fury Tempered, but it will be gone. Hazard is cool, but the core of the deck at the moment is Thing, Enigma Drake, some Reveler, some Serpents, but numbers can be tweaked here and there. Some Chasers not a must in that deck, but you want some removal actually. I found that Sprays is better in the sideboard and Shock is better main deck just because of the Planeswalkers and just to be able to burn down phase. In addition to Flow and Shocks, you also want to run the Fury Temper. Commit Memory could be main, could be side, depends on you. Tower is probably better in the sides, it's just an extra consistent burn source. Key is not exactly necessary, but it won't hurt. It switches on a bunch of cool stuff. Sensor main deck I found is pretty relevant. Also fits in the Serpents and the Drake, and why the deck is actually playable, because for Sleep for Ice and for Expedite switches on Fang and all other cool cards in this deck. So Unsummon is pretty good addition, as well as another card I'm gonna talk about later. And this thing took me a while to realize. Well, it's not exactly amazing. It's not my Carcass Recall or the 1-mana 1, which is played in the modern Cheerios deck, but the standard Cheerios or standard Storm could still use this card. In addition to outcome, maybe not a full playset, but 2-3, and this is deck I'm talking about. I'm gonna go to the spoiler just because there will be a lot of unfamiliar cards for you. So it's the standard Some Cheerios deck. There are many builds. There is mono blue version. I've talked about this deck, but I'm gonna try to wrap this chat about this deck shortly. So with that card, you can just really go all in, sorta, even though this build is already quite all in. So you can add an hour in the top two, so you can actually have, 12 zeros for standard currently. You maybe can cut the Weir, still keep 4 Flux, maybe even cut Stature, because then you can go really deep So that gives you what, 3 slots at least. So adding extra top tier and then a couple of those, maybe cutting 1 expertise so that you can play actually 3 copies of this thing. Sideboard, so this is almost the sideboard I played at the PPTQ. What did I have? I cut the declaration. For the exiling cycle, naturalize in addition to this fragmentize. Cut authority for another construction, and that's kind of it. No, I cut 1 rebuke for something else too. But yeah, I thought that authority, even though it's not relevant without the Sahealer, I fell there, but just life gain and some help in the vehicles matchup, which is actually kind of bad sometimes when they perfectly curve out. With this all-in kind of version, maybe there is hope, because then also it helps to, really go deep with the Crane and SRAM. If they have some removal, you can bounce your stuff. And actually, because of Spire of Industry, you can actually cast the second half of the card, which is still relevant. It's like a mulligan for you. So this way you don't really have to play Commit Memory main deck at least, but you still want a sideboard, I should say. Yeah, Lift Chance probably is gonna do some waves. Okay, this is basically a start for a potential cool deck. So you set up 5 mana Lily into Razakhet or Samut into Samut something with this reason, belief, and strategic planning as well. And then you kind of trying to play like Sahili, no, not Sahili, Nahiri, Emrakul kind of reanimation kind of deck, so you can still remain control-ish, mid-rangey, and at the same time combo as well, switching between those strategies depending on the situation. Is that it for the decks I wanted to show you? Yeah, I think that's kind of it, so we can actually go full bolus now. Yeah, so this is all pretty cool stuff, I think, and I'm not sure if this deck's going to be playable, but it's definitely worth considering and worth testing, I think. Especially with so many different sweepers available in all kinds of colors. But this deck probably will be white, so... and it doesn't exactly need red. But I think Samot gives the deck another angle. But we'll see. We shall see. So Hollow-Wan, the only couple decks where I could see this being a thing is, well, actually 3. Black-Red Madness could do it, but it's probably will be much worse than Red-Green Gods Madness Beats. It could also be tried out maybe in the sideboard of the New Perspective deck alongside the 2 mana X4 with cycling. Just to have some blockers in the early game or mid game. Not sure about that. Maybe we will see some kind of Esper cycling control, not just Grixis bolus control, not just kind of classical Esper control, but cycling control. We'll see. So the Scarab God, the Scrimping God, I'm a bit skeptical about them. They're really heavy, and at the moment just mono black or black white zombies are better than blue black. So we'll have to see if the Scarab God will actually, be relevant. Okay, more interesting stuff. So Refuse Cooperate. So in the blue-red spells tempo rack, it could be a pretty cool thing, but it could also be a cool thing in blue-red control and Grixis Bolas tap-out control, because for example, they cast Bolas, it costs 7, or they cast Bull from Tomorrow, things like that, or even the Hulk, then you can refuse, so you deal 6, 7, whatever to face at instant speed, put them in the range of some crazy things, and then copying some draw spells again, or some counter spells, kind of like twin casting their counter spell as protection. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I really like this card, both actually in control sideboard and probably even one to main deck in tempo variants. The Sunmare, well, it's pretty cool, but I don't know how you're gonna, do this consistently. Yes, they have kind of built-in protection from sweepers, but then again, you have Hour of Devastation that just doesn't care, and with Hour, you don't even have to, kill the Sunmare first and then kill all the 5/5s. It's a pretty cool card, but I don't know if you can consistently, keep it going. During Despair will definitely be main deck / sideboards value card for black-green variants, probably for the hybrid one and for the energy aggro one. It's pretty cool card, but it's not gonna, put black-green to new heights. But it's nice to have some new tool for the deck. Right, Crash Through again for the blue-red tempo spells. Just another 1-mana cantrip card. Probably not going to be relevant now, but definitely after sideboard, after rotation, when Ixalan kicks in, when you would lose Expedite in the blue one, so you'll need things like this, and then you can actually play one from Kaladesh too. So the deck probably will leave on, but it will be just an FNM deck probably. But we'll see. Enable Obstructionist, well, what can I say? Sideboard for blue-red control, probably, maybe even main deck, probably not enough space. Also in Grixis, Spirit Control, but also in Blue-White Axe Flash Tempo, just a way to pressure Planeswalkers, counter Crew, counter Planeswalker activation, stuff like this. Would be pretty cool. Could be in the blue-red tempo as well, but at the moment there is not enough space for it, so probably after sideboard, after rotation, I mean, with Ixalan. Emit Eternal. Well, first I was super excited, but then again, zombies don't quite need it because they have enough of good free drops, either black-white or the actually, mono black. So, not sure, but maybe it will be featured in non-zombie aggressive deck, so we'll see. Alright, and now as for control tools for the cards that actually will be impactful, so between Hour Devastation, Bones' Lost Reckoning, and the Sweltering Suns, well, there's everything for Grixis step out control that could want. Also with Last Reckoning, you could maybe run some copies of the Goblin Dark Dwellers, yeah, because it's still in the format actually, and there's another card that synergizes with it rather well. Bolas is pretty insane, and was pretty insanely limited. I really felt like the power of the card. In constructed, well, if Negate will be a thing, if blue-red control will actually be a thing, and it's will be featured alongside Grixis, then I'm not sure if Grixis will pick up, but it has so many cool cards, and if you resolve Bolas, it's just so sick. You get immediate value out of it, and the cards is obscene. So I hope this will be a deck, but I don't think it will be that broken because I think the format can adapt to it pretty quickly. Yeah, so you can actually just go blue-red control. With some friends I've been discussing also the other Revelation or Devastation as well. In Mardu Vehicle sideboard, for example, just hold on some spare Gideons and spare Hearts, for example, and then just, play your classical post-sideboard mid-range game. Locus God looks like it will be pretty cool addition to blue-red control with all the cycling, you know. Gives you jump blockers and stuff. Maybe you'll play that over main deck Kefnet and then play Kefnet's sideboard. Hard to say. Maybe you'll just play the sideboard, but I'm pretty sure you will play this card in your 75 and blue-red control. It's just so sick with all the cycling. Abrade will also put Grixis and blue-red controls on the map once again. Maybe even the card for vehicles too. Maybe not main deck, maybe sideboard. It's hard to say. Cut Ribbon still is pretty cool just because it gives you extra reach together with Disintegration. So I don't know how the decks will, you know, incorporate in what numbers, but it definitely will be in 75 in pretty much all red decks, I would say. Just somewhere lurking. More control cards. Wins, I'm not sure, but the potential is there. Supreme Will definitely will be in blue control decks, that's for sure. Just because the card just so flexible, even though it kind of costs one more than either half of it should. But the flexibility is just so insane. Concern Oblivion I want to talk about just because, well, first you bounce something, and then it's in your graveyard, and then you can just what is it? Oh no, you can't actually flashback it with Dark Dwellers because it's 5. But still, there are some cool sorceries here and there, including the Black Last Reckoning, the Bontus card, and there are some others too, like for example Sweltering Sands. What else? You can't really Radiant Flames with it, or Painful Truths, but there are like a lot of cool options, I think. And yeah, this Consignable maybe not so insane main deck, but definitely pretty versatile and flexible card for sideboard in all kinds of matchups, but probably just mid-range, I guess, not so much in control. But, oh yeah, so this is what you might want to flashback actually with Dark Dwellers. Pretty much either of these, but then again this will be not Grixis, but 4 color, but you can stay Grixis, and then think of the Esper control separately, but Doomfall will be in all control decks, I think. Probably just as a one-off and one more in the sideboard. I don't think you want to overdo this as free money and a sorcery. But yeah, Fire Market and Grind Dust will be main decks in Esper control, which I also believe in, just because the deck now has like so many cool tools, including the new planar cleansing. Okay, this is what I hope for. I don't think this necessarily will happen. So this is just some general thoughts. So I think Reservoir is still a thing. Sorry for that. Yeah, so Reservoir is still a thing. I want Relier to be a thing together with a whole bunch of cool stuff you'll see in a moment. I hope red and green guys will be a thing, rather the whole deck. I hope the Dispels, Quellers, Negates, and Rebukes will be again a thing, just because of all the control decks. Same for Wonder. I hope the Blue-White Spears will actually become a deck again. As well as blue-white vehicles, or Esper aggro, or Esper vehicles. Just because I think like in the first couple of weeks control might not be that insane, but in a month it will be more or less refined to be actually a contender in the metagame. Okay, so this is basically a course for potential very cool what is it, 5 color deck technically? Yeah. Well, no, you don't have to actually be in blue, so you can stay for color. But yeah, so Claim Fame will be in Mario vehicles, that's for sure. In some numbers, one or two, maybe between side. Just because bringing back Motorist and swinging with same turn is pretty cool. Speeding up Gideon tokens, for example, returning tool crafts and inspectors for value, just for tempo, so that would be cool. But think about it. A collection of pretty cool 2-drops that you can return with Claim Fame. So I'm talking about Flare, Brawler, Constrictor. Rare to again bring back those 2-drops. As well as Crop Mate. Dusk Dawn, pretty much main deckable in this kind of deck, just to kill everything big. Spell Queller could be also in the same deck, but then we're going into 5 colors territory, which is not necessarily a good idea, but we might do that out of the sideboard perhaps. The meta base is gonna be really crazy, but things like the 1 mana enchant land in green will help to fix all of that. I don't think you can afford to play Spire of Industry in this deck. There won't be enough artifacts to support. 5 mana Lily is just an option. I don't think it's like a must in this deck. But you could basically transform after sideboard into more mid-range deck and like go into bigger reanimation package, for example. But yeah, something can be cooked here, something can be brewed here. I think it might be a start for something really cool, fringe, but really sweet. Probably not tier 1, hopefully at least tier 2, but well, one can dream. Bottom line is, Hostile Desert is going to be pretty cool in a lot of different decks because we still have Evolving Wells, and just spawning those 3/4, well, not spawning, making this as a 3/4 is cool. Also, there's probably a very cool card for Eldrazi's, whether it's mono white for Gideon, whether it's mono red for Chandras and stuff. So pretty cool card. Also, Evolving Wells fetches you away, stuff like this, so it's actually fine. What else? Could be a value lent in some new perspective decks, or just cycling control, blue-white cycling control, or Vasper cycling control. Just it gives a lot of decks like this cool tool because of cycling lands, basically, which are not just rares from Amonkhet. You also have the all those dozers with cycling, so that too. So yeah, I think Eldrazi's gets cooler mana base, let's say, that actually does things. The tragic lesson is that lots of cool control cards, or not necessarily control cards, but for control decks. And then we get a lot of pretty cool tempo cards like Claim Fame. So yeah, I think you learned a few lessons here and there. Metagame is going to be pretty hostile but it will have all kinds of decks in it. It will feature aggro, control, combo, mid-range, and etc. So go claim your fame. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Check the links in the description below. Until the next sale, goodbye folks.